Welcome to the Road Reaction post-game show. I'm Jonathan Santiago. With me, as always, is James Ham. And the Sacramento Kings falling to the Utah Jazz, 106 to 99. I guess the big stories of the game, or the big story of the game, was the fact that Isaiah Thomas went down due to injury, and Rudy Gay did not play. More on that a little bit down the line here on the show, but Isaiah Thomas having a bit of a stomach ailment, so he left the game, and the Kings had to play without three of their top three scorers because DeMarcus Cousins didn't travel with them. And they managed to, I don't know, they managed to hang around for a little bit.
Yeah, John, talk about the never-ending game. I mean, I actually think that I aged while watching the last 5 minutes of this game. Kudos to Michael Malone for saying, I'm not just going to give up. You know, I've got players that want to play, that are out here giving it their all, so let's go ahead and foul Rudy Gobert every time he touches the ball. Let's foul Jeremy Evans and make them hit shots. And, you know, lo and behold, they don't hit shots. Kings got it all the way down to 5 with like 31 seconds left, and then they turned the ball over, and that was kind of the end of the game. But they certainly had some pretty incredible moments in this one where you know, they just kept sticking around, and you never quite knew what was going to happen.
Yeah, there was a point too in the game where Utah started hitting some threes, and it seemed like they were getting separation, and they eventually did. They got up pretty big, and then the Kings managed to cut back into the lead, in the fourth quarter and hang around towards the end, mainly through the hack a go bear strategy. But without their three best players, it's kind of tough to win. But again, they are playing at the time, the worst team in the other worst team in the Western Conference record-wise in the Utah Jazz. So competitively, you'd think that they would be quite equally matched here tonight, but Kings coming out with a loss on the second game in 2 nights. So let's move on to our three things to watch. Point number one: does Rudy Gay return? He traveled with the team, as I mentioned, and warmed up before the game, but just was not able to go. So Rudy Gay missing his third straight game with a left Achilles, and will now wait again to see if he'll play Wednesday night against the Memphis Grizzlies.
Yeah, John, I had a source tell me, I don't know, what was it, 45 minutes before the game that he was playing. He was active, and he was going to play. He was just out on the court warming up. I have been told that there was no setback, that whatever happened to him was specifically just him not quite being ready. And the medical staff sat down with Coach Malone during warm-ups, probably half hour before the game, and they just pulled the plug on it out of nowhere. And he was actually active. He was, if I'm not mistaken, he was in uniform. Maybe I'm wrong there. I didn't see him, but they said that he was actually active on the active roster, but he did not actually play. And maybe it's for the best. I mean, the Kings could have won this game if they had Rudy Gay, but you never know. So now we go into Memphis, and I would be shocked if Rudy Gay doesn't play in Memphis. And I also I'm getting the feeling that DeMarcus Cousins might be ready in Memphis as well.
Yeah, and in Rudy Gay's place, Travis Outlaw getting the start tonight. Aaron Gray, who had started the last two games for the Kings, came off the bench, and Travis Outlaw got the start with Derek Williams, Jason Thompson, Isaiah Thomas, and Marcus Thornton. Travis Outlaw playing 24 minutes tonight, getting his shots up, 3 of 9 from the field, 10 points. So that was a little bit surprising, but considering that the Utah Jazz have a big body and Enes Kanter coming off the bench, it did kind of make sense to go to Aaron Gray in that second unit so that he could match up a little bit against Kanter tonight.
Yeah, and Jason Thompson played incredible basketball. I mean, Jason Thompson finishes with 19 points, 11 rebounds, and 2 blocks. He only turned the ball over once. He had 5 personal fouls, which limited him a little bit, but they pulled the plug on him early. 28 minutes, 7 to 10 from the field. This was a great game for Thompson against a really tough defender in Derek Favors. sort of surprised that he was able to do what he was able to. And again, Aaron Gray is a nice piece to have on the bench. People who underestimate Aaron Gray, he does a lot of the dirty things. He does a lot of the dirty work, and the Kings appreciate having a guy like that on their bench.
All right, moving on to point number 2 now, monitoring the contributions of Ben McLemore. And tonight, Ben McLemore finishes with a healthy 14 points on 6 of 12 shooting, 1 of 5 from three-point distance. But 25 minutes of play, and Ben, he really came alive in that fourth quarter, helping the Kings kind of claw back into comeback mode against the Utah Jazz, only to fall short. But Ben, the last 2 nights, previous night he had 18 points. James, I wrote about this. The one thing that's been impressive to me, at least in these last 2 games, has been the confidence for Ben making plays off the dribble. I mean, we saw it, dating back to Summer League and throughout much of the season. He's had a lot of issues with his ball handling. He hasn't been, up to snuff yet in terms of being able to make plays off the dribble. And the last 2 games, he's been able to do that. And that's what you want to see out of a rookie is, at his age, make that kind of progress. And he spent a lot of time practicing and working, particularly on his ball handling with assistant coach Deep Brown. You could typically, if you go to practice, you'll see him after practices working on drills with Coach Brown along with rookie Ray McCallum. So to see him be able to make those plays off the dribble is good, especially since there have been a lot of concerns with him lately because of his lack of production. So he's been coming along nicely the last 2 games.
Yeah, John, he needs to get on a run because you and I both plan on going to New Orleans for All-Star Weekend, and we need. It would be nice if both he and DeMarcus Cousins were there. Ben McLemore representing the rookies in the rookie-sophomore game, and DeMarcus Cousins, of course, if he could make the All-Star team, that would be great. So it'd be nice if we actually had players to cover when we go out there. But who knows? I mean, this year's crop of rookies is so incredibly rough. And McLemore, he's up to 37% shooting, and that's nothing to write home about. His three-point shooting is up to 34.6%. He's growing. You can see it. What I liked tonight was 9 rebounds. He's starting to add here and there. He's starting to, figure out a way to stuff the overall box score, not just the points, which is something that he needs to do. Is something that Marcus Thornton needs to do. These guys just haven't really done a great job of, if their shot isn't falling, they kind of become useless. So, he's averaging 7.8 points a game. He needs to bump that up a little bit if he's going to make the rookie All-Star game. But, it'd be good to see.
All right, moving on to point number 3, James. Can Isaiah Thomas create for his teammates? Now, Isaiah did leave the game due to stomach illness. And, but even then, prior to that, I don't know if it was the effects of the stomach illness or what, but, he didn't have a very efficient game tonight, only 10 points on 4 of 13 shooting, 6 assists. And I thought he was forcing up a lot of shots again tonight, as he has done the last 2 games without Rudy and DeMarcus in the lineup. So he didn't have a great game. Obviously, there was illness involved with him, but at the same time, it just, even if he played the entire game, I just wouldn't have got the sense that he would have made his teammates better tonight.
Yeah, that and his streak of consecutive games with a three-pointer ended at 37. I think he needed 2 more to tie Mitch Richmond for the franchise record. It's a little rough to watch. He didn't turn the ball over, which was nice. He didn't play horrible defense. Actually, tonight he played much better defensively than he had in the past couple of games. But, he needs to make his teammates better while Rudy Gay and DeMarcus Cousins are ailing. That's it. The onus is on him to really improve all of these other players. Derek Williams needs help getting his shots. Jason Thompson needs somebody to feed him. Marcus Thornton needs somebody to draw and then kick to him. And we're not really getting it. Isaiah Thomas looks like he wants to go out there and try to win the game by himself because Rudy Gay and DeMarcus Cousins are gone, and that's just not going to work on any level at in the NBA.
Yeah, and you look at tonight, guys who I said, watch out for them and see how they produce tonight. It'll big indicator of how well they do is whether or not Isaiah Thomas is feeding them the ball, making them better. Is Derek Williams and Jason Thompson, and they did have good games. I mean, Derek Williams and JT both finishing with double-doubles, JT 19 and 11, as we mentioned earlier, and Derek Williams with 17 points and 15 rebounds. But it didn't really feel like it was because Isaiah made them better. In fact, Derek Williams in the second half, came along quite better than in the first with 12 points and 6 rebounds. So, it's still a learning process for him. I mean, he's in his third NBA season. He's still emerging. He's still figuring it out. But it's an area of weakness that he needs to address moving forward. Okay, let's move on finally to our player of the game, and I look across to the other side of the aisle, and I look at the Utah Jazz, and nobody there really impressed me too much. I mean, Gordon Hayward was nice with the 12.6 assists, 6 rebounds. Derek Favors had 17 and 12. But Jason Thompson, the way he came out in that first quarter, I mean, he had like 8 points and 6 rebounds or 7 rebounds, something like that.
Yeah.
In the first 6 minutes of the game, he finished that quarter with 8.7 rebounds and two blocks, and he had a really good night for the Kings. And with DeMarcus Cousins out, I've been wondering if they would feed the ball more or work their offense a little bit more through JT on the low block, because he has proven, at least in these last 3 seasons of his career, that he's a very good finisher at the rim. And tonight he was able to get it done. Effective night, 7 of 10, but only 10 shots for him. But I would give him the player of the game tonight.
Yeah, I fully agree, John. For most of the game, he was the best player on the floor. His blocks against Favors were really nice. Again, how many times have I talked about blocks being a stat that are sort of, they're not indicative of anything really. I mean, they're not a true turnover. So he blocked Favors once, Favors got the ball back. He blocked Favors again, somebody else got the ball and laid it up. So Jason Thompson's 2 blocks came in at like a 3-second span. Neither one of them were turnovers. Neither one of them helped the Kings at all, realistically. So he did have two blocks, but I just don't see that as a major stat. But the 19 points on 10 shots, just very impressive. He went to the free throw line 6 times. He hit 5 of them. That's impressive. His offensive rebounding, going over the top of people and laying the ball in, was very impressive. So I would have liked to have seen him foul out of this game. Give him the extra 5 minutes and see what happens. If he fouls out, he fouls out. If not, no big deal. But the Kings need him to continue this. And same thing with Marcus Thornton. They need both of these guys to get things going right now and continue this once the big dogs are back, which should be right around the corner.
Yeah, I'm going to be very curious to see more so Marcus Thornton's transition. Once Rudy Gay and DeMarcus Cousins and a healthy Isaiah Thomas are back in the lineup for the Kings, because early on I kind of felt like the trade rumors and the constant movement had an effect on him, and it probably has. But now I think what we've seen, at least in these last few games without Rudy Gay and DeMarcus Cousins, I think it's just been a difficult transition for him to now just be fourth banana, fifth banana here on this team, when of course 2 seasons ago he was averaging around 20 points per game, or 18 to 20 points per game, and leading the Kings. And it's trying to find a way to adapt. So he's gonna have to figure out a way to continue to make contributions to this team once their big scorers are back in the lineup, because he's not going to get the same amount of shots that he's been getting the last few games.
No, and I think the one thing that I'll point out too is that he goes 1 of 6 from the 3-point line tonight, and he went 0 for 3 last game. So after that 42-point outburst, he's had some points. He scored, but it's really not the way that the Kings need him to score. The Kings need Marcus Orton to stretch the defense to knock down three-pointers, do it consistently. Again, he's had every opportunity the last 2 games, and he goes 1 of 9 from three-point land. And you can take the rest of the points and kind of throw them out the window because he's getting some rebounds and putbacks, an occasional, jumper in the lane. Realistically, Marcus Orton needs to be a three-point shooter from the perimeter, and basically that's it. And he hasn't really shown that he can do that in these 3 games without the big guys. So I don't know. I don't know how it transitions and how it translates. And when you look at Ben McLemore, again, starting to turn it on, Ben McLemore moving without the ball, doing the things that realistically you want Marcus Orton to do as well, it's only going to be a matter of time once again before Ben McLemore comes back into the picture and takes his job.
All right, on that note, then, James, let's wrap up this Road Reaction post-game show again. Utah Jazz coming away with a 106-99 victory over the Sacramento Kings. And
wait, John, there's another foul. The game's not over yet.
That's no fun. Hey, by the way, I'm watching the highlights of this Nets-Raptors game on TV, and former King Patrick Patterson, big play at the end of the game. He gets the steal on the inbounds pass from the Brooklyn Nets. They get down on the break. There's like seconds remaining. He passes the ball to Kyle Lowry. Kyle Lowry passes the ball back to him. He pump fakes, gets his defender up in the air, hits the game-winning jump shot, and the Raptors 104-103 over the Brooklyn Nets, and they're now 23-21. And they've been pretty good, man, since that trade. I mean, a lot of focus on them improving and the Kings not really doing too well as far as wins and losses are concerned, but it's been a pretty equal trade on both sides, I'd have to say.
Yeah, when you look at it long term, I think that's where you have to, this trade is going to play out over a year or 2, depending on maybe even longer if Rudy Gay re-signs and sticks around in Sacramento for a while. So I'm not convinced that we'll actually know the outcome of this trade for a long time. I think anyone can make the playoffs in the Eastern Conference. I mean, I think, didn't I hear yesterday the Knicks are a game out of playoffs? So, I mean, if the Knicks are a game out, then anyone can make the playoffs in the Eastern Conference. It's possible, John, that you and I, Sean Cunningham, Sam Amick, maybe John Dickinson to play center for us, we'll get a Sacramento media team together, join the NBA, and make the Eastern Conference playoffs.
We could be like the Flint Tropics or something like that.
There it is.
Yeah.
There it is.
I
think the Maloofs are looking to buy into a team.
Oh, cool. We'll hopefully let's see if we can get them in for like $625. I don't know. All right, that's
and you know what? They would supply unlimited supply of Never Drunk or no hangover. Their no hangover. Their new supplement.
I would like some zinc vodka to go along with that. It's part of my endorsement deal.
There it is.
All right, and on that note, this is just only going to continue to go downhill from here if we keep talking. So 106.
The way that the game went.
I'm not even going to turn back to you, James. I'm not putting you back on the screen.
The recap is mirroring the Kings game.
106-99, the Utah Jazz defeating the Sacramento Kings, and we'll be back Friday night when they I forget who they take on. It's either the Dallas Mavericks or the San Antonio Spurs, but we'll have We'll have a recap on Wednesday when the Memphis Grizzlies come to town. So again, Jazz 106, Kings 99. That's going to do it for this edition of the Road Reaction postgame show. For James Am, I'm Jonathan Santiago. Thank you for tuning in.